Welcome inside episode 451 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains. And don't look now, but the Senators have won 4 of their last 5 games.
Oh yeah, Ross. Saturday's game had a couple of firsts. Brady Tkachuk's first hat trick and goalie-friendly show, Anton Forsberg's first NHL shutout. So with the boys heating up, they're heading down south to Florida.
The entire organization heating up. The Belleville Sens won 2 games over the weekend, so we'll also get into Matt Murray's first victory back in the AHL. Lassie Thompson taking that NHL confidence with him, and Ridley Greig has officially made Team Canada. All that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today is Monday, December 13th, and Pilsy, they're changing around here.
They certainly are, Ross, and not just from a philosophical standpoint, but the Senators are actually winning games and not just squeaking out 1-goal wins. Like, they just beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-0 at home. Now, I'm willing to admit this is not the usual Tampa Bay Lightning roster. Yes, but we're not going to apologize for the Sens beating up on that weak team, because there was a lot of positives in that game that we can build off here. And DJ Smith said it 3 times in one quote. Things are changing around here, and you got to believe him, because things do look like they are different.
He said that, though, in a developmental standpoint. Spoiler alert, the kids are what has steered this ship in the right direction. So more of that, please. As right after we recorded on Friday, Michael Del Zotto was placed on waivers. He's got a year and a half left on his contract, about $3.5 million at that. Saturday, he cleared waivers, and Sunday was assigned to the Belleville Senators. We'll touch on that later, but when Brady Tkachuk scores his first hat trick, you're damn right we're going to get right into that game. Now, Brady did not get in on the first goal, which left him for the natural hat trick.
But he should deserve I don't know what to call it, but there was a major play by him that kept that play alive. They win the faceoff. The puck doesn't quite get back to Chabot, and Brady Tkachuk battles to poke it over to Chabot. Otherwise, Tampa clears that, and we don't have a play. We don't have a goal here. So Brady Tkachuk, if there was a third assist, if that was a thing, he would definitely get one, because that was a massive part of that play that I think gets overlooked a little bit.
Yes, and he was captain shit. The hit on Jan Ruda to start the afternoon off on Saturday set the tone, and the Senators took it from there. Now, this, you mentioned, maybe not the same team that lifted the cup the last 2 years. No Kucherov, no Point.
No third line. The entire third line just gone.
Yeah, but those guys are gone. That's just the way the cap world works. But when you're looking at the guys who are there, Kucherov and Point are 2 pretty big holes. Not quite Colin White and Shane Pinto, but, still 2 guys that are very important to the success of the Tampa Bay Lightning. But the Senators, they just had momentum from the start. We had Laleems Martian on the postcast that you can always go back and check out in your audio feeds or on YouTube. And he was clear that the Senators had the ice tilted in their direction for most of that afternoon. And you could sense that from TV.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out Martian. He's been at a bunch of these games, and he's had some good seats for some good moments here. And yeah, the Ottawa Senators, they go up 1-0. And I think all of us are saying, nice, the Sens finally got a lead here. But I don't know about you, Ross. In the back of my mind, I was like, all right, when's it going to fall apart here? Like, when are the dominoes going to fall? Like, this is too good to be true here. But the Senators, they keep things rolling. And the Lightning did have a couple good chances, though. Like, Hedman blasted one off the post. Forsberg had to make a couple decent saves. So it's not like the Ottawa Senators were able to fully stave them off. But when Forsberg's playing well and the defense was playing much tighter than they usually do, they give their team a chance to win here. And that's what the Senators did. And we can get into the second goal here, Ross.
Right. Before we touch on that, I want to get into what you mentioned there. The start of the game. Yeah, Tampa had a 6-1 shot advantage. They had that early power play. But not only did he stand tall in goal, first career shutout, you absolutely love to see it. He's now won 4 straight starts as well. But he's getting help from the boys. Man, Austin Watson, Nikita Zaitsev, huge blocks to really show that this was going to be a team effort defensively to get them going. And I can't just skim past this goal because the pass from Drake Batherson to Josh Norris for this goal, like those two, the chemistry is just unbelievable now. 7 assists on Josh Norris goals for Drake Batherson. Like these two together, and you mix in Brady, who's just mucking it up out front of the goal. This is a line that I cannot wait to see for years to come.
Yeah, well, yeah, you don't have to wait, Ross. They're here right now, and they're making highlight plays every day. And yeah, shout out Batherson, that nice sauce pass. And you know, if Norris gets that pass on his tape, no chance for the goalie there, and that's just an easy goal for Josh.
And how about the Senators finally beating Brian Elliott? It only took 12 games.
Yeah, finally they get a regulation loss, or make him have a regulation loss. That's one that definitely they're going to be happy about, right?
Certainly. And then Sens fans can be happy about the fact that their captain was all over the score sheet after the first period. It started on a power play, and this whole sequence was
wild,
insane. Was this the most build up to a goal we've seen all year?
Probably. Like, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of any other play that was more like you're on your feet and you're like, oh, come on, finish this. And then they finally got it.
So we're going to do a live viewing of me watching this goal because there's so much going on. So Shabbat, saucer pass to Stützle, down low bumper play, Batherson to Tkachuk, makes a save. Tkachuk gets high sticked in the face.
Yep.
Norris gets it to Batherson. Elliott has a 2-pad stack. Josh Norris is trying to stay away from goal interference. Puck comes back out to Tkachuk, and instead of trying to roof it, which some players would try to do, get it up under the bar where Elliott was diving over, he sees that Elliott's kind of like jumping in the air, slides a 5-hole, bang, right on the ice, and it's in the back of the net. The excitement on his face said the whole story, and it was great to watch as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point you make about Tkachuk making that low shot, Ross, because if he shoots that high, Elliott might get a point stop.
Like you reach over and get a glove on it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, one of those classic diving saves. But also, it's a good business decision to take that low shot because even if Elliott does get over, there's likely going to be a rebound because that's going to hit his pad and bounce right out. And there's all that chaos in front of the net as well. So I think that was a great play. And also, like, man, Timmy, that pass.
Unreal.
Maybe you can help me decide here, Ross, but I can't decide if that was just pure dumb luck or absolute genius because
superstar ability.
He just does a spinorama in the corner, and I guess he must have done a shoulder check, and he's got to know Brady's there because it's tape to tape, and there's no one even near Brady. And then the funny thing about that goal too, Ross, is normally when Brady scores, it's instant Frank the Tank Selly, but
no Frank the Tanks. Yeah, not a single one for a hat trick. That is an interesting point to note. But he gives us a whole different Selly here because he was just so in the moment. He didn't have time to be like, oh, I got to hit them with my signature Selly. Maybe Frank the Tank takes weekends off. That's my only
You would think that's when he's going hardest
for that. But what's also great is the power play clicking. This makes such a difference for the Senators. And you brought it up on the postcast. The PK goes 5 for 5, and the power play contributes 2 goals. So that is a recipe for success. Now, this second power play goal for Brady Tkachuk is a little more what you'd expect, standing right in front of the net. And some would say stealing one from Thomas Chabot. And as a bettor of Thomas Chabot to score at plus 550, I was initially upset at this. But then once he completed the hat trick, I let it slide.
Makes up for it, yeah. And these are the moments that, like, if you're a true fan and you're, like, following along with the game. And
true fan, eh, Pills? Those are fighting words.
Yeah, hey, the true fans know who they are. So that's all I got to say. But, like, what I mean is sports is such reality TV. Like, if you're really following along and you're saying, all right, Chabot needs a goal. John Cooper, Team Canada's coach, is right there. It'd be great for him to get his first goal. It looks like initially on the live play, you can't tell Brady tipped it. Gord Miller on the call says Chabot finally gets his first goal of the season. You're thinking, all right, this is an amazing moment. And then all you have to do is look at Brady, and Brady goes, sorry, I got that. And you can see Chabot is like, did you tip that? And Brady's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that.
Sorry.
And that's just a classic moment that if you're really following along, you can get a good chuckle out of. But I'm sure if Thomas Chabot, similar to you, knew that he could trade his first goal of the season to contribute to Brady Tkachuk's first hat trick, he would probably gladly do that for his captain as well. So all smiles all around, and Chabot still gets a power play assist on that, so I don't think he's too upset.
2 points on the afternoon for Chabot. He was a complete stud, and this might be a first for him. He wasn't first among Sens defensemen in time on ice. He wasn't second among defensemen in time on ice, and he wasn't even third.
That's insane.
Zub, Holden, Zaitsev all played more than his 20 minutes and 23 seconds, but he was electric every single shift. 2 points, +2, and controlled the power play, playing 4.5 minutes with the man advantage. So that was just awesome to see in general. And then a perfectly boring third period. How awesome was it to watch this team shut it down? I had shades of the 2016-17 team that made the run to the conference finals, where when they were leading after 2 periods, you knew it was just game over.
Yeah, it was really nice because even with that 3-0 lead, Ross, you're sitting there being like, okay, you've seen the Sens give up some leads.
Yep.
We've seen what happens in the third period. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, even with this roster, you can't count out Steven Stamkos. So I was a little nervous. And then as time started dwindling down, I started to get comfortable. And the boys got this. Like,
yes,
things really have changed around here, because normally this would have slipped from under them. And they managed to keep it. And there wasn't I can't think of too many memorable moments in that third period, other than, I guess, Watson and Maroon had a little tilt there that
forgettable.
Watson does not win again, but
not many fights.
Yeah, not too many W's there for Watson.
It's all right. They got the straight sets victory on the scoreboard.
Exactly. Yeah, so not a big deal there. And it all leads up perfectly to Brady Tkachuk getting that empty netter. Although, Ross, I was a little nervous when they missed on that first opportunity, Batherson and Tkachuk, and then I was saying, well, if they can't get that opportunity, the hockey gods might not give them another chance here.
And then the Lightning took it down on a rush opportunity the other way. I was like, if they get one here, that's the type of thing that can really swing momentum. Hey, remember we spent like 2 or 3 minutes waxing poetically about Andre Palat's plus minus since he entered the NHL? -2 for Andre Palat. We should mention another name out of the Lightning lineup was Anthony Cirelli, who didn't play either. Now for the Senators,
Seabrook either, Ross.
Oh yeah, yeah. No Ryan Callahan for the Sens either. That being said, with the Senators getting this victory, you're looking at a situation where you're going down to Florida feeling good, and that's all this team could ask for based on where they were a week ago. Now on the Locked On Power Rankings, I'm going to pull this up quickly, but this is from last week, and we did this on the postcast as well. But after losing 6 straight, now they've got wins over the 4th-ranked team on the power rankings, the Carolina Hurricanes. They did that on the road. The 7th-ranked team and the 10th-ranked team in the Colorado Avalanche. So that's huge for this confidence of a young team, and they're only going to get younger. You touched on it. Things are changing around here. Jacob Bernard-Docker was called up, did not play last game. You got to think that he's going to get his opportunity down in Florida. Dylan Hetherington only played 8 minutes on the back end. So he's a natural guy who could come out because Mete is slid over to the right side. So that would be an easy transition. Mete back to the left, and you get JBD in there for his opportunity. We'll touch on what Lassie Thompson did in his opportunity. Is that even a word? Probably not. But he looked awesome down in Belleville both games this past weekend. We'll touch on Matt Murray making his first win in Belleville. He lost the first game. Now he gets his first win. And Ridley Greig to the World Juniors officially. You knew he was a lock if you listened to our interview with Craig Button, but now it's officially official. We'll touch on where we think he might end up. Now, Jake Sanderson also missed the weekend in North Dakota, but by all accounts will be ready to go for his second World Junior. Same with Tyler Clevin. Those two have a gold medal to defend in Alberta. But before we get to all that, a quick word from our friends at DirecTV. Because does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle. It's a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream. It brings you live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before so that you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to ever buy another device ever again. The best part is there's no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. All right, Pilsy. So the Ottawa Senators shut out the Tampa Bay Lightning. 4-0.
That sounds good. Just let that sink in for a sec, Ross. That sounds great.
4-0 shutout victory on home ice over the Tampa Bay Lightning in front of, I think, 14,000. It was a good crowd. Yeah. It was a loud crowd. And for the first time in a long time, the Sens lose the hit battle, which means you often have the puck a lot more. They got out hit 25-15 on Saturday afternoon. So that's a great game. We touched on it here. We also got into it for 20 minutes on the postcast. So go check it out for more because there's lots more to get into with this organization. I think we have to start with Michael Del Zotto because that news broke right after we recorded on Friday. Were you surprised?
I was a little bit surprised, I'll be honest. You could kind of see the tea leaves, the writing on the wall, whatever you want to call it, but I didn't think it would happen so quickly, especially with Del Zotto, although he hasn't been great, I wouldn't even say he's been good defensively, but he has put up points, and he hasn't really had that much of a leash, right?
Right.
What's the longest stretch of games he's played consecutively? That can't be more than 3 or 4. Can't be.
Yeah, it's got to be maybe 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, so for a veteran guy, you brought in free agency and you had all this talk. I mean, in Ian Mendes' article, he reflects on the quotes that Pierre Dorion and DJ Smith gave when they acquired him. And then this is how his usage goes. If I'm Michael Del Zotto, you got to be pretty pissed here. Sure, he could be much better, but I don't think he's gotten a fair shake here. And then to go down to the minors when you thought this was going to be an amazing opportunity and they give you a 2-year deal with probably a little more money than he was expecting also. So it's quite a head shaker move, but it seems like it's the right move because like DJ Smith said, things are changing around here and you cannot have these washed up veteran guys taking up so much time when you have so many hungry prospects that you have such investments in just chomping at the bit and arguably better NHL players right now than these veterans are in the present time, right? So I think it's something that the Ottawa Senators kind of had to look in the mirror and be like, look, we've made some mistakes on the pro scouting side of things and we got to face the music here. We can't just pretend that Del Zotto is a good pickup and keep putting him in a top 4 role and he keeps getting shelled defensively. We can't just keep having Matt Murray not live up to his contract. We need to do something here. And that's what they're doing. They're pulling the trigger. Ross, did you ever think that the Ottawa Senators would have over $8 million in buried cap money in December?
No.
That's crazy. So I'm really taking it at face value here that the Ottawa Senators truly are looking at a new philosophy here. And although we obviously never cheer for losing and for bad starts like this start of the season, but that might have been the wake-up call that they needed that, hey, Dorion, maybe the rebuild is over and we're going to start the road to unparalleled success this season. Yeah, maybe that was you're a little trigger happy on that and you weren't quite ready. So let's just take a step back. Focus on developing these players. I think I've said this a bunch of times, Ross. This is a season where the results of the game, yeah, sure, you want the W's, you want the boys to have high confidence, you want to see the points, but it's more about the process of how this team is going about themselves. And we're seeing positives from that process being bought into and from the Senators being like, okay, clearly the young stars are taking over. Let's stop creating obstacles and let's stop pushing them back. Let's just let them take over and get all the veterans and all the guys that aren't performing where we want them to out of the way and pave the way for these young guys to start developing at an NHL level because a lot of them are showing they're ready.
Yeah, and in theory, that's great. But right now, it's Dylan Hetherington that's playing over him, right? It's not necessary. There's room for both.
Well, JBD likely will hop in here with Hetherington coming out of the lineup. I assume. But Hetherington, I mean, he's a guy that they're not highly invested in, but also that makes for a nice defenseman that, you can get him in a couple games and take him out. You can kind of use him as I don't want to say a placeholder. That's kind of disrespectful, but you can use him as a guy to hold a spot while you're trying to figure out which guys are you going to promote to develop, which guys are you going to demote to stop using.
So it's great to hear that. Now, I'm a little skeptical because we've seen DJ rely on certain guys on the back end before. It's been exactly 1 month since Eric Brandstrom broke his hand.
Yeah.
They said 6 to 8 weeks. So maybe a week or two until he starts skating, and then we'll go from there. Now, the real litmus test for me is when Brandstrom's available, is he going to play? And now, on the right side, when Josh Brown's healthy, is he going to get to make mistake after mistake just because DJ likes him from their experience winning a Memorial Cup together? It's the only thing I can see in Josh Brown's game that would allow him to keep his spot. So to me, that's going to be the real test. And you say JBD and Lassie on the right side. Okay, are they taking Josh Brown's job, or are they only here because Josh Brown's injured? That's really going to be where I have some faith in what they're saying here, where the philosophy has changed versus guys who they just want to play.
But at least now they have the opportunity, right? Like before, Ross, I feel like the Sens would have just tried to pick up some dude off waivers.
Cody Golubev?
Yeah. Well, no, they're not about to give that guy a contract. Slow down there, Ross.
Right,
maybe another PTO.
right.
But you know what I mean? Like at least now, and they're like making it known that this is their objective. Like before, I think DJ would have been like, yeah, like we got Lassie up here, but once Josh Brown gets back, once Del Zotto's got his game back, like he's going to go and we'll send JBD and Lassie back. You know what I mean? Like at least now they're outwardly saying that this is the plan. Like it's not just coincidental that guys are injured and now these young guys are getting in. Like this is now our philosophy and that's what we're working towards. So I hear you with the skeptical, you're a little bit skeptical approach about it, but I really do think that things are changing around here, and the results are showing. Like if they were going about this philosophy and kept losing, maybe not. But how can you go back to those veteran guys when these young guys are outperforming? I don't see how they could do it.
I'm excited to see JBD if and when he gets in the lineup, as the Senators are in Florida, Miami, to play the Panthers on Tuesday, in Tampa Bay on Thursday, and then in Philadelphia to play the Flyers on Saturday. Still no confirmation if Giroux is coming on the Sens flight back to Ottawa for the holidays. That being said, Michael Del Zotto, 6 points in 10 games. He's actually riding a 2-game point streak.
That's not that bad for a defenseman. Damn.
Yeah, he's got 4 points in his last 4 games. He had that 2-point game. And the only thing is those 4 games have come in the last month. Is December 11th, he had a 2-point game. That was only his 4th game ago. Now, when he's been in the lineup, it's been top 4 or bust. Like he's played over 20 minutes twice.
Yep.
He's never played under 13:37. That was in the last game he played. So when he's in the lineup, he's getting chances. And I thought Mete and Josh Brown have played worse, if not at the same level as Michael Del Zotto. But Del Zotto has been assigned to the Belleville Senators. He's played 720 NHL games, Pilsy. And he made his debut when he was 19 years old. How many AHL games do you think Michael Del Zotto has played?
And this one I don't know. So this is truly me trying to figure this out. I got to assume if any AHL games, they were later in his career when he was kind of making a resurgence.
Nope.
No, okay.
Nope. It was when he was 20 years old.
Okay, yeah, he did go back down to Hartford for a bit. I'm going to say 45 AHL games.
11. He will play his 12th AHL game. He's played 720 NHL games. So excuse him if he's got a bit of a bruised ego, because that is
I don't blame him at all.
A lot of service time to have. And you got to think when he was a free agent that he was promised something. Now, promises in sports, they can change on the flip of a dime because you never know what's to come. And clearly he hasn't been responsible in his own end. But that being said, like he's contributing anyway. So we'll see what's next in the Del Zotto saga. But if he goes down with a great attitude, like he's only going to help Belleville. Like I see him as almost like Christian Wolanin was down there and just running the power play, being that number 1 left defenseman, playing with Lassie. And let's get in to Lassie Thompson and the Belleville Senators, Matt Murray and all that, plus Ridley Greig. After a word from our friends at BetOnline, the number one sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. And why wouldn't it be? Because at BetOnline, you can use our promo code Locked On and get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Here's how you do it. So just go betonline.ag. betonline.ag. And when you do that, make your free account, promo code Locked On. If you put in $100, bingo, bango, bongo, that's 50 free play dollars right there for you. You put in 200, and then that's 100 free play dollars in your account. Now, Pilsy's parlay of the day continues to disappoint, so we're going to get him the day off. But if you've been fading him, you might be a millionaire at betonline.ag. But Pilsy loves to play, and that's what's important. You're in the action. So get off the sidelines and use our promo code Locked On for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
Ross, I've been using my parlay to boost the Senators. You'll remember I bet on Providence with the intention of mushing Providence, and it worked. So that might be something I do more often going forward. But, guys, it's the holiday season. The lights are up. The tree is trimmed. The elf is on the shelf. Now the only thing left to do is sit back and enjoy the eggnog. Built Bar eggnog. I bet you didn't see that coming because Built Bar has so many amazing flavors, and they're always adding new flavors to spice things up. Get a little nutmeg, get a little cinnamon in there, and you can enjoy an eggnog flavor with some healthy benefits because Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. Every protein bar is covered in 100% chocolate. They're soft, they're easy to chew, they're low in calorie, low in sugar, but high in protein and high in fiber. The eggnog Built Bar, like I just mentioned, it's only got 140 calories and you got 17 grams of protein jammed in there. And the sweetest part of it all, Ross, is for our loyal listeners of the Locked On Senators podcast, we're going to hook you guys up with a promo code. So go to built.com, use our promo code LOCKED15, and you're going to get 15% off your next order. Check it out today, guys. Built.com. Use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your next order, and you can enjoy an eggnog Built Bar protein bar yourself. It's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
All right, so don't look now. The Ottawa Senators, winners of 4 of their last 5 games. They will be skating today in Florida. We're recording bright and early this week because I've got some old ends to tie up.
Some enemy territory to get back into.
Yes. Circumstances arise, and I will be producing Leafs Lunch on TSN 1050 this week. Now, all that to say, the Senators are absolutely buzzing, and it's going to be interesting to see whether DJ Smith touches anything with this line combinations. Do you think anything changes except maybe on defense?
Yeah, I see JBD coming in. Yeah, probably in place of Hetherington. That's probably the only change. Pardon me, Ross, and I don't fully want this, but when's Adam Gaudette going to get another chance here? I know he's not exactly deserving, and DJ probably has a bad taste in his mouth from his first experience, but it's just funny to pick a guy up like that and all the talk that went around it, and then now he's just kind of buried. So it'll be interesting to see when he gets another opportunity here. But I mean, unless maybe take out Tierney, but Tierney hasn't done anything bad. It's just he hasn't had a puck bounce off him and go in the net recently, so you haven't noticed him. But Gambrell, I would argue, should stay because in a defensive role, that, don't call it the fourth line, has been actually very effective, especially with Nick Paul down there.
The Senators actually tweeted out the line combos before the game on Saturday, and they had that as the third line. So I was right. The Gambrell, Watson, and Paul was the third line, and then they had the Tierney-Ennis combo on the fourth line with Zach Sanford. Now,
I don't mind that, yeah.
Last note on this one, and we got to give some more props. And again, listen to the postcast. We really did dive into Anton Forsberg a lot more because he was a stud, 25 saves, but that's what I want to build off of. This is the first time all season where the Senators have allowed less than 30 shots in 3 straight games. 24 against the Devils, 27 against the Islanders, and 25 against Tampa. A recipe for success when you consider that they had a streak of 5 straight games and whoa. Oh my God, one sec. So from the Rangers game, they allowed 26 shots in the Rangers game, okay? Then in the Avalanche game, they allowed 31. In between that entire stretch of 17 games, they only allowed under 30 shots once, and it was 29 against the Sharks, and they lost 6-3 in that game.
Yeah, and I believe that. That's the thing. Like, we're a goalie-friendly show, so often we give benefit of the doubt to the goalies, but that just goes to show, like, their workload is out of control, and the defense just had not been good enough. So, like, all the blame couldn't be put on these goalies. So now the defense is tightening up. The offense is clicking. Sometimes good offense is the best defense, right? So that really helps. Like Ross mentioned, for the first time in a long time, the Sens weren't way ahead on the hits category because they had the puck a lot more. So it's really noticeable that things are indeed changing.
Yes, and that's a great way to finish off talking about the Ottawa Senators and head in to Belleville, who, again, things are changing down there too. Like they couldn't win a game to save their life to start the season. Now they've got back-to-back victories, both on the road. 4-1 at Providence. Mando was unbelievable in that game. Matt Murray, a late scratch. The jokes were flying about how he got hurt, but he flipped the script because he was awesome against Bridgeport on Sunday afternoon, a game that saw Bridgeport take the lead in the third period, but then Lassie Thompson came in and wired a shot past Skarek. Oh, I thought it was Corey Schneider. He's actually the backup there in Bridgeport, but they tie it. But no, that's not good enough. They knew I had him in regulation at BetOnline. So Cedric Paré. All right, we'll go. We'll go with it. He gets the winner just like that. But you knew that they were going to come through because it was Troy Mann's 500th AHL game. Now, there were messages from all of his teammates, Pilsy, and like guys who've played for him, all of that, the coaching staff. And a lot of them were like, here's to 500 more. It's like, nah, he wants the NHL.
That's it. Yeah, 500 more AHL games, I can tell you right now, will not be happening for Troy Mann. Maybe a season, maybe 2 seasons, but man, he's knocking on the door. And if the Senators decide that he's not their guy, I'm very positive that another team will give him a look.
Yes. Now, he completely deserves all the credit in the world for what they've done. But Parker Kelly was himself with an assist, and by all accounts, he was just brilliant in the game. Then they get an early goal from Andrew Agozzino. So that's what interests me so much about this. Like, I think Igor would be the first to tell you he's slumping a bit offensively right now. They don't have like a real pure goal scorer like Roby Jarventi. He's now gone 5 straight games without a point. This is his final game. He's going to meet Team Finland over for World Junior Prep. So they're getting kind of everyone chipping in. And I can really appreciate that coaching that's really coming up. Goal and an assist for Andrew Agozzino. They opened the scoring 33 seconds in. But what Sens fans are most likely interested in is Matt Murray. He made 26 saves and looked sharp. So another step in the right direction for him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to kind of preface this situation with saying we're talking about a guy who's supposed to be our number 1 starting goaltender in the NHL. He's getting paid over $6 million, and we're happy about an AHL win. But you got to start somewhere. That's where the situation's at. And Matt Murray gets his first win in the season, regardless of what league we're talking about. And that's going to be some confidence boosting for him. And I don't know what was up with the lower body injury that caused him to not start that game, but obviously it wasn't anything serious, thank goodness. And he's back on the ice. And like Ross said, he looks sharp. So I think eventually, Ross, we got to get to a point here where they need to do something with one of the 3 goalies, right? Like, either Ian Mendes suggested that at some point when Matt Murray gets his game back, swap Murray and Gustafsson. I could see that happening for a little bit. And then as the trade deadline gets closer, probably Forsberg is going to be a piece they're going to try to acquire some draft capital for. So if we are at a point where Gus is kind of the starter in the NHL and Matt Murray's a reliable backup for him this season, I think that's probably where you want to be, considering where Matt Murray is now. No, like how do you see the three goalie situation shaking out here?
Well, eventually Matt Murray has to get back for an opportunity because even if you're going to buy him out this offseason, now I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do. You need at least to see what the end of this resurrection is going to look like at the NHL level. So Gus doesn't need waivers. He's the natural fit to go down. And Anton Forsberg's getting some buzz to represent Sweden at the Olympics after Robin Lehner has politely declined. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
I don't blame him, man.
IOC. There might be a 5-week quarantine
in China.
No thanks.
And NHL, like especially an Olympian caliber NHL player, will not be comfortable in a 5-week quarantine in China. Let's just say that off the bat.
Yes, no question. So really disappointing. You got to hope and pray. Now, I'm not sure the logistics, but if they decide not to go, at least give us like a World Cup in Florida or something. Like put the teams together and let's have at it, because it's been too long since we've seen best on best competition.
It really has been.
Man, we were at those games at the 2016 World Cup. Unbelievable
Electric.
hockey.
It was awesome. Yeah.
The Swedish Young Guns matchup, where it's back and forth overtime. McKinnon ends up scoring that ridiculous goal.
One of the greatest goals ever. Yeah.
When are we ever going to see McKinnon, McDavid, Matthews all on the same team?
Never
Just
again.
That. And people were upset at a gimmick. No, I like great hockey.
People that were upset about that.
Guess who the goalie was for that team?
Lundqvist. Oh, Lundqvist was a Swedish goalie.
Yeah. Gibson and Matt Murray.
Oh, damn. Wow. But Murray didn't play much, did he?
I don't know. I hope I'm not lying.
I think it was Murray. I can picture Murray in those North American uniforms. So
right.
I think you're right.
Right. And he only had one Stanley Cup at that point.
Only one Stanley Cup.
Well, now he's got one win. Now he's got one win for the Belleville Senators. And just to finish that thought, yes, 2 games with Team North America at the World Cup of Hockey. World Juniors coming up soon, and Team Canada is off to Banff for some team building.
Nice.
And Ridley Greig is going to be front and center. Didn't even play in either of the exhibition games over the weekend against the Canadian U Sports. That means lock easy. Seems like he's likely going to be the third line center, and he's going to play an important role, I'd bet, PK. And people are already chiming in on Twitter saying he's going to score the nicest goal in World Junior history and probably have the dirtiest hit.
I mean, let's hope that doesn't happen. But, he's got to play with that edge. Like, if Ridley kind of tones things back because of IIHF rules and, obviously you don't want to look bad on a world stage, then he's not going to be as effective. Like, I bet the coaches are telling him, like, yeah, like, take it easy, but like, don't take your foot completely off the gas pedal physically. Like, that's why we brought you here. And I think Ross, him in a third line center role is perfect. Like, and we were talking about this before the show, Ross. When you get kind of ousted and beat in center role by Shane Wright and Mason McTavish, you're not too upset there. So that's a place where Ridley Greig fits in nicely. And I think he's going to bring a lot of energy to that bottom 6 and probably a couple highlight reel goals as well.
Yes, 12 first-round NHL draft picks on their 25-man roster. That includes 5 top 10 picks: Owen Power, Mason McTavish, Kent Johnson, Dylan Genther, and Cole Perfetti. The other first-rounders: Sebastian Casa, Caden Gooley, who I believe will be the captain of this team. Nothing confirmed there yet. Xavier Bourgault, Jake Neighbors, Carson Lambos, Ridley Greig, and Maverick Bourque. Another interesting note, all 8 defensemen they're bringing are left shot. That's pretty interesting, eh?
Weird. Yeah, that's definitely weird. Ross, when you started that little list, all I could hear is the Swiss coach's voice. They have all first rounders. Like, just classic. But yeah, that is an interesting move to take. You'd think you'd mix in one righty, like just to have one.
Brant Clark's sitting at home.
Yeah, true. That
would have been another top 10 pick.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting move. But also with Connor Bedard making the team as a 16-year-old, Ross,
he forced their hand. Those 2 games, he had 6 points in 2 games.
You couldn't leave him at home. Absolutely. And I love seeing Jason Spezza's name in the mix of players who were able to accomplish that feat of a 16-year-old. Like, it's like Gretzky, Lindros, Bouwmeester. I forget the other guys, but there are some epic names. Crosby, McDavid. Yeah, so there are some epic names on that list.
Yes, there certainly are. And great point there. Way to bring it back to the Ottawa Senators. Final note before we go, Ben Bishop announcing his retirement from the NHL. Played 413 games, only 23 for the Ottawa Senators. Real shame that number is not higher.
Honestly, yeah. How many games did he play in bingo, too? I saw Mike McKenna tweeted like a happy trails, good retirement kind of tweet. And it was McKenna and Bishop in those dirt ugly bingo Senators jerseys. And that just brought a smile to my face. That's what a weird time to remember.
Yes, he played parts of 2 seasons for Binghamton. He played 3 games the year he was acquired, and then 13 games the next year. He was absolutely dominant in those 13 games, a .928 save percentage. Hell, he had a .922 save percentage in the same amount of games at the NHL level that year before he was traded for Corey Conacher.
Yes.
Now, yes, that trade didn't work out, although Conacher scored a huge goal in the playoffs that year.
At the
Ottawa.
time, it didn't seem that bad, but also at the time,
But
I
look,
think both of us thought Bishop was not the right odd man out.
I know, but at the same time, I didn't really think it was Robin Lehner, and Craig Anderson was in the midst of one of his best years of his NHL career, and he ultimately still played almost a whole decade longer with the team. So,
I mean, he's still going. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
but you make a good point there. But when it's Corey Conacher, like think of all the other names that were coming up at that same time as Conacher. Your Alex Killorns, your Andre Palatz, and you're just like, that's the dude we got.
I hated it at the time because Conacher was buzzing with the Lightning team, but he just wasn't able to replicate that with the Sens.
Yeah, I was just hoping, that when you look back, like maybe, because like at that point, Alex Killorn was like a young up and coming guy. I'm looking up and down their roster to see who else. Yeah, Andre Palat played 14 NHL games that year. Even Brett Connolly probably would have been a better target to go to, as long as it wasn't Brian Lee, who played 22 games for Tampa that year and was -13 with 0 points. Yes. That was before the Nodak Sens were cool when he was playing in North Dakota. We're actually exactly a month away before you and I are down at the Ralph to see Johnny Tyconic play against his former teammates at the University of North Dakota. And then the next night, the Sens are in Winnipeg. But we got, 30 shows to do before then? So
we got
a little early on the tease. But Pillsy, your overall thoughts as a finale. Wrap it all up. Put a bow on it of the Senators weekend against Tampa Bay.
I'm sorry to keep dipping into this well, Ross, but things are changing around here. That's what I'm going to wrap this up. But like, I can't help it. It's just so perfect. Like, really, it does seem like there's a shift here, and we're seeing the process turn into the proper results, not just at an NHL level, but at the AHL level as well. Like, it really seems like something happened with this franchise, and now things are looking much different. So I'm excited for this new look because I was getting real sad watching this. Like, we basically had a therapy session episode after one of those games early on in the season. So I'm glad things have turned around here because it's much better for you and I to talk about this team on a daily basis when they got a couple W's mixed in here.
Especially when those W's are coming against good teams, right? Like, they beat the Avalanche. The Avs are 12-2-1 in their last 15 games. Yeah, Ottawa fed them one of those L's, the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, they're beating good teams, and that's great to see. And Drake Batherson, like, I kept saying, like, I'm going to say he's the best player on the team. I'm screaming it now. Another 3-assist performance for Drake Batherson. He is on a personal heater. Now, I've only got the last 5 games up, so I'm going to figure it out right now. But he's got points in at least his last 5 games. Now, going on here, no. So there was one game, the Vancouver game. He did not have one, but then he had 4 in his game before that. So you give him a little break to that Vancouver game because it was his first one back after COVID. So he's got points in 6 of his last 7 games, 3 goals and 9 assists over that span, 12 points. This guy is the straw that stirs the drink offensively for this team. So hopefully that keeps up because he's a complete treat to watch. And that first Sens power play unit, when they're clicking, unreal. So Sens fans are feeling good. 4 wins in their last 5 games. We're no longer talking about being in last place in the NHL. You don't even have to look over your shoulder anymore because the Sens have 4 games in hand on the Montreal Canadiens, who are 2 points behind them. Losers of 3 straight. Next up, it's those pesky New York Islanders who are, just ahead of Ottawa by 2 points, and they do have 2 games in hand. But hey, slow and steady wins the race. It's not time to look at the standings. It's just time to enjoy an offensive outburst and some control defensively. So tomorrow we're going to have a full preview of the game against the Florida Panthers. We'll check in on former Senator Anthony Duclair and his mates in Florida, another really good opponent. If Ottawa could somehow manage to get maybe 2 out of 3 this week between Philly and the 2 Florida games, you're starting to get on a bit of a roll here going into it. Hey, usually there's a bit of a break over the holidays. Not this year, Pills. You see the schedule coming up. It's busy right up to Christmas and after.
Yeah, well, hey, good time for the Sens to get hot coming into a busy schedule here.
Absolutely. Yes. So there is 6 games between now and Christmas, and Locked On Senators is going to have you taken care of the entire way. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button at the bottom and subscribe wherever you download your podcast. You can find us on social media at Sen Central on Twitter and lockedon.instagram, lockedon.senators on Instagram. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.